Welcoming traveler. Get ready to level up in Dynasty football.
What is up, fantasy football people? Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG podcast. I am happy to be joined by a fellow couple of RPG creators here. Some names that you probably know if you've been tuning in recently. We got Mr. Mike Cash Money Cashuba in the house, newly anointed Titans beat writer. Are you beat writer now? Can we call you that?
Content creator, I think.
Let's do beat writer though, because it sounds kind of more like official.
It does sound cooler, but making some videos, talking Will Levis, and if you haven't checked it out already, High Point Creator Network, very cool on Twitter, and also be sure to smash that little like and subscribe button for us. We're doing a giveaway. We're going to give away a Derek Mason card, which if you don't know who that is, Google him. He was nasty in like 2006.
An autographed card. No
it's autographed. There's only 49 of those cards in the world. So we're 29 subscribers away from our goal. So get in before it closes.
Yeah, let's go. I've been catching that Titan stuff that you're pumping out, man. It's awesome. What a time to be a Titans writer. It's great.
Yeah.
Do you think like 3 weeks ago, if you would have gotten this assignment, you would have been a little less like enthused over it?
I was a little bummed, but Will Levis is the future. Derrick Henry is still on the team. DeAndre Hopkins, I got to write a question that Des Bryant asked D-Hop live on the air. So I can die now. Everything's good. That was amazing.
Yeah. That'll be going into the next season. You're going to have a lot on your plate. But let's not move too far away from the intros because we got another special someone with us. It's Mr. Evan Lowe in the house. Hi, Evan.
Evening, everybody. How you doing, Corey?
I am doing A-okay now that I am just talking football with my bros because work was not fun. But I
hear you're a master website creator now.
I can put that on my resume now, is that I can make a website and it will be a website.
Okay.
So, that is what I could say about it.
It won't just be a little Shopify link.
No, it'll have some widgets. It'll have an app or two. Yeah.
Isn't that how the things work, right?
Yeah. Did our merch shop just get shade from a fellow member of the host?
Oh, I just realized that's what that
was. P.S. Go to Printify or Shopify or wherever the link is. Whatever. We'll send it in the comments.
I just take this as, so Evan, is this you signing up to make us an actual website?
Well, I'm the least tech savvy person on this podcast, so
hey,
that's what
I did it today. I did it today with no experience, so I'm sure you can figure it out. You're a smart guy.
I'll probably just farm it out to somebody.
That's fair enough. With your gambling winnings, I guess you can afford it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Corey.
All right, let's get into a little bit of football talk, right? That's what we do. Unless, I do have a little bit of a question. If we want to just do a quickie. Because I was curious. We're in November now, boys, which is the greatest month for a lot of different reasons. I think maybe October, close second, but I love that fall time. Football, it gets nice and crisp, so you could wear some layers. I love wearing my hoodies outside. You get some warm cider. It's all good, man. But we're coming up on Thanksgiving here, and I want to know, we're going to work backwards because I'm going to start asking you guys what your favorite Thanksgiving foods are. But I'm going to start at the end with the desserts.
Ooh.
Favorite Thanksgiving or just fall time dessert.
Okay.
And we'll start with Evan.
Okay. I think dessert-wise, I'm going to go with a classic pecan pie.
That's a great answer.
It's pecan, not pecan.
Love a good pecan pie.
No, you're garbage, Mike. Get off this stream.
I alternate, so I can't even say anything. I'll just say pecan sometimes, and then I'll say pecan when I'm feeling more fancy. like when I'm at like
We
a
have some pecan.
Look,
like a nice.
I'm just gonna say when you
Denny's.
talk to the farmers that grow them, they say pecan. They
Yeah.
don't say pecan. Just like they say
That's
almonds,
okay.
not almonds. So
I'm not
just
saying
saying-
almonds.
I'm not ever gonna say almonds.
That's
no,
wrong.
almonds. It's almonds.
And that's not it either.
No.
There's way more letters in almond.
Look, I'm just telling you what the farmers that grow these things say. So
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. They can have
Yeah.
the. Do you think it'll turn into like a farming language at some point? Like it'll just get so far removed from what's popular.
From real language.
Getting off track here. So pecan pie is a good answer. See, I said pecan, and I didn't even. That just rolled off my tongue. Even after
Just keeps going.
So pecan pie from Evan. What about you, Mike?
I'm actually, so I wanted to say pecan pie, but
Yeah, I mean you can. This isn't a drought. You
no.
can if that's just the pinnacle dessert, you can say that.
I want to give a little shout out to an underappreciated fall
Okay.
dessert, the pumpkin roll. It's the like soft pumpkin thing with the little cream cheese filling on the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Delightful, scrumptious.
We don't make that per se, but we make pumpkin bread muffins with a cream treat like cheese frosting kind of situation, and sort of I think a similar feel maybe. Yeah. I mean that is the 101 though. Like I want to say pumpkin pie just to have three different things, but it's just not. Like
It's pecan.
it's fine. Like pumpkin pie for me is fine. Pecan pie is like
look, I'm one of the weird people that I'm not a fan of pumpkin. It's
okay.
like pumpkin pie, pumpkin roll, pumpkin spice.
We just lost one white girl follower.
Yeah, literally. I just saw the eyeball decrease
Just
by
dropped.
one. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean that's a very political take, man. You're gonna get some flack for that, no doubt. But it's what it is. Let's go ahead and I'm feeling nice and warm. How about you guys? I need a little sippy of my I got a horror themed dark hymn sour ale. It's a dark sour ale. So
Sounds good.
Gonna be sipping on that.
Nice. I'm sipping on a nice tall glass of water. I'm doing dry November, trying to shed some weight, get nice and in shape for the winter season when no one can see your body anyway. So
nice. Yeah, I did semi-sober September.
Nice. Anyway, now that we're talking about our bodies,
it was everything except for a little bit of weed because gotta.
Are you gonna go with drunk?
It's literally
December?
for work. Drunk December is pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty decent. Dangerous though. I mean, it already kind of is, right? You're just incentivized to drink, especially here when it's like super cold and snowy. It's like,
and you can't go
Yeah, I'm gonna-
outside, and you just want to pour yourself a nice, like, really strong porter or stout.
Aaron will make mulled wine, and that is dangerous because we'll also buy like a pretty nice bottle of brandy, and we'll put shots of it in there.
I love
Yeah.
some moldy wine. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Is that what you get down on?
Moldy wine.
Yeah, you just wait for it to ferment. You just put it on the stove.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are moldy, let's talk about some players that we should sell high. Or do you want to go to something else?
No, I mean that was a great transition, so I almost want to give it up to you, but I did have a couple of news things to just go over quickly beforehand.
Yeah, let's hit it.
I mean, off the top rope, this is all just, I'll say before we start, this is all QB related stuff because I feel like there's a lot of QB related news coming out here recently. So, but off the top rope to start us off, I mean, no better person to ask here than the Titans' newest beat writer, Mike Kashuba. Will Levis as the starter, man. Let's go around here a little bit talking about his. I guess I want to hear primarily his dynasty impact here of him being named the starter. Obviously, it goes up, but how far do we think it goes? I guess give me your ceiling and I guess what you would perceive as his floor.
Ooh. As far as like points scored for fantasy for this year, I think his ceiling is he could explode and have a 30 or 40 point game. Like he already had a 4 touchdown game. Like that's not like, it's not weird to say that's in his range of possibilities. He's already done it. And then his floor, like he already played against the Steelers and what did he put up? 9 points, 10 points? Like, yeah, his floor feels weirdly safe because he just has an unrealistic, like confidence in himself, which I kind of love. but
he has swag. He has serious swag.
He'll
He's
stare
so
down
intense.
a defender. He will look at a linebacker and throw it right at him and be like,
yeah,
problem solved. But
yeah,
I mean, worst case scenario is he gets pulled, but I don't think he's going to get pulled early. Otherwise, Mike Vrabel's going to get fired. So I think he's a plug and play QB2 with a lot of upside.
Okay. To Evan, I want to ask more like, what do you see as his like long-term dynasty value? Like, where would you have him ranked going forward?
Yeah, I mean, he's still a second-round quarterback, still somebody that struggled his senior year or his final year in college. So those are all things that people are going to take into their consideration. And frankly, I just think so many people were so sour on him coming into the NFL, much like people were very sour on Daniel Jones going back to his draft class. I mean, you had a guy that went in the first half of the first round of Daniel Jones, and people weren't giving him the light of day. So people were taking him right around that same range that Will Levis was going in rookie drafts. And I think he can do everything that's exciting and fun on the field. You can see him make those crazy throws because the arm strength was never a question with him. I mean, didn't he have the highest QB velocity when they did the like net drill or whatever it was at the combine? So like everybody knew what kind of gun he had. Everybody knew that from college. They saw the throws that he was making. So do I think he is going to be a 5-year starter for the Titans? I don't think so, personally. I think they're going to be in a position to give him the ball next year, though. That I will say is I think he is going to most likely go into next year as the starter.
Yeah, I almost think it's kind of a double-edged sword where he might have like had a better chance if he just kind of sat this year and absorbed everything just for those just like decision making, like sharpening and that kind of thing, like sitting behind Ryan Tannehill. But on the other side, he gets the actual game experience now. It's just now he really has to go out there and prove it because I would agree that it's like not inherently locked in for him. So a little scary, but like in Dynasty, is this a guy that like with the up and down game from, the Falcons to the Steelers, it almost seems like there's like a flip flop of like buy, sell window. What are you guys doing? Are you trying to acquire Will Levis right now? Are you trying to sell him or is he just a hold?
So I'll say for me, let me push this back on you, Corey, here. So for me, he's a sell and I have a price. What would you give me right now in a standard Superflex league for Will Levis? If I asked you for a 25 first.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay. If I asked you for a 24 second and a 25 second.
I think I would do that.
Okay. If I asked you for 2 seconds and a third this year.
Yeah, I'd probably do that.
Okay. So realistically, I would sell for 2 seconds and a third. Preferably, that would all be 24 capital because I would want to diversify it. Because like I said, I don't think that he is going to be the long-term answer there. But I think you can sell people on the upside. I've seen plenty of leagues where he's gotten traded for a 24 first already. Mm-hmm. It's been shocking to me. So that's why I started with the 25 first, because I would love to get a 25 first. You can sell somebody on, oh, well, it's a year away. Like you'll be able to know what he is. You'll be able to see it. But I mean, I'm happy settling for 2 seconds and a third.
What do you think? Like, do you sell him for a first, Mike, if you could?
It depends on where the first is. So I'm
mid-first.
I'm on this line where I like him probably less than all of the quarterbacks coming out next year, but I like him more than like we just did our 2024 rookie preview. Like, would you rather have Will Levis or the wide receiver 4 in the class? Like, would you rather have Will Levis or the running back 2 in the class? When you put it that way, I would send a playoff first for Will Levis, and I wouldn't think twice about it.
Okay. Yeah. I like to also call out, I think someone mentioned it, the strength of schedule for Will Levis, if he does keep the job, is attractive. Yeah. Some good info there from Mike Zimmelman too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, I do agree. He's got a shot. He's looked the part at least for one game. It's very early still in this process, but he has a shot to be very, very good. Like as far as where you got him in like startups or rookie drafts, like if he can even just be that flexy QB2 guy, then I think you're pretty stoked, and I would probably just keep him.
Would you rather have Will Levis or Zach Charbonnet?
Will Levis.
Charbonnet was going ahead of him in a lot of rookie drafts. So
yeah, true.
Just a note: draft the quarterbacks.
So is Quentin Johnston.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that does it for him. Just got a couple more here. We don't have to talk at length with them, but wanted to mention Kyler Murray is back. If you are a competing team that was lucky to have Kyler stashed on your IR, that is pretty good news, I feel like. We'll see, how much he can do. He is coming back from the ACL. He is a mobile quarterback. Re-injuries happen. We'll see if he can just take off like he used to. But if he can, that's awesome. Pretty good stonk up for Hollywood Brown, I imagine, the whole offense. But more or less just wanted to mention it. I don't know if you guys have anything to chime in on for Kyler in particular. But this actually, I'll say this, gets me even more excited for some Trey McBride. I think that could push him into some like top 10, maybe like top 8 finishes, which is actually like in TEP. You're like liking that a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No big questions on him. You can go.
Yeah, I was going to say, with Kyler coming back, do you think they win 3 games the rest of the year? Because I would feel pretty confident if they win 3 games the rest of the year that they will not have a top 4 pick. Which makes me think that Kyler's job is locked.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, they've always stood by him, right? Everything that they've said about it, the contract he has. I always kind of thought that it was going to be him long-term there, even with all the weirdness that it's just kind of baked in.
Only winnable games.
Which feels like a plus for Kyler, because he's going to have 2 first-round picks to be able to revamp the offense, be able to make the team better around him.
Yeah.
So
Brock Bowers and Marvin Harrison Jr., your Arizona Cardinals.
Woof. That'd be great. Oh my gosh.
Only games on the schedule they could win: the Atlanta Falcons, the Chicago Bears.
I thought you were going to stop talking.
No, that's
it was just a good pause. Okay.
Yeah. No, there's 2. I mean, they could beat the Steelers. They could beat Seattle in the last game of the year, but they
could. They tend to take one away from us.
It doesn't look good.
I mean, they could beat the Texans.
Sure.
Yeah. Texans are so good though. Jeez. Like, I mean, just better than we thought we were going to be. Like way better. It's ridiculous. Freaking CJ Stroud.
It's almost like somebody said that.
Yeah, literally. I know. Your literal bold take. I know.
Oh, weird. I guess Evan got muted.
Nice.
I don't know how that happened. Anyway, we have a quick question of the audience before we move on to our next quarterback.
I feel like you're going to have to mute me on this one. Should I?
I was actually going to throw it to you, do a little reverse roles real quick. Quentin Johnson, this is from Sleazeball Fantasy Football. Thanks for tuning in. Are we all starting to think that he's just a flat-out bust? Corey, take your stand.
So I was saying pre-draft that I thought he would be a bust. I don't think it's necessarily fair to say at this point in any first-round drafted receiver's career that like halfway through the season they're a perma bust and they'll never succeed. I just think that I've said this so many times at this point, but we've been pretty spoiled with like the Jay Jeffs and the Jamar Chases and even Jordan Addison is breaking out this year. It just doesn't always happen like that. QJ is a guy that I always thought his route running was meh. I always thought that his separation was meh. His catching was meh. He could work on all those things with the right coaching. He could take a year 2, year 3 leap, but I just don't think that it's likely personally from what I have seen from him. I was never interested and I just remain not interested.
That is fair. I'm going to give him 1 more week. I feel like I've been saying that for 2 months now, but hear me out. First game, clearly a letdown. He still kind of got like 10 fantasy points. Second week, he was going against 3 of the best corners in the NFL, which all happened to be on the Jets. I don't know if you guys like watched in depth who was lining up on him.
Yeah.
They shadowed him with sauce for a lot of the game, which is just, I feel like overkill. But
why not though? Just suffocate him.
Yeah. So, like, are we really going to hold that against Quentin Johnson that he couldn't perform? So, last week was a wash. 2 weeks ago, he was a viable flex play. If he stinks against Detroit their defense is solid, but not earth-shattering. So
what you're saying is that you are flexing Quentin Johnson this week?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. I wish you the best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Sleazeball FF. Okay, yeah, rolling right along here. I mean, we don't have to. This one we can just. I'll say, Carson Wentz to the Rams,
and that's all we need to say about that.
And then we can.
It's another jersey for his practice dummy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Real quick note on it. This does actually make me a little worried that Stafford's injury is worse than they're letting on. Or that they have lost all faith in Rippon, which like you already should have known that. He's been in your building for months, but it's maybe a shot for him to be. He's an easy pickup in deep dynasty teams.
Yeah, that is true. He is unrostered in many a league. Okay. Well, we briefly mentioned it, but going back to the Jets game that was on last night, Zach Wilson continuing to roll on is just what I wanted to mention, and he is I guess currently still a starting quarterback, but is maybe one of the 3 that you literally can't start in fantasy football or you will lose points.
Just absolutely brutal. You're better off leaving the spot blank.
Yeah, literally. Or like putting in if you have Simeon and just hope.
Yeah.
I just can't. The main thing I guess it's just the way it's gonna be, but Saleh just refusing to put in Simeon or try anything else at QB is just it's very unfortunate and frustrating. Is what it is, though, I guess.
You know who they could have used?
Like a 2-time MVP quarterback that's won a Super Bowl before.
Or like Carson Wentz or Jameis Winston.
Wait, how many of those still apply to Carson Wentz? Not the MVP. Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, yeah.
Yeah.
And he almost had an MVP.
He did. That is true. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Wild times. Right. Okay. Let's the last one I wanted to mention here. Let's get to the touchdown rocket scientist Josh Dobbs. Man,
what a hero.
Out of nowhere, learning the playbook in about 40 seconds, it seems like, and going on the field and winning a hard-fought game.
Man,
it was absolutely a pleasure to watch him operate. He just looks good, like he just does, and maybe defenses begin to correct on him, like they sort of started to do, and he was like blasting off on the Cardinals, and then thank you. And it could happen the same way for the Vikings. Defenses could adjust to that, him in that playbook. So possible completely, but he looked good, man. Like he looked like a good football player and a good quarterback. So like he's a guy who you literally got off waivers probably in your dynasty league this year. And he's a guy that I'm like, yeah, man, start him as QB2 the rest of the way, unless you have like a clear, better option. I think he's going to get you points.
Well, and Corey, you heard the stories about him literally going into the huddle and just turning to Hawkinson and being like, what are you supposed to do?
Yep. He didn't even know the guys.
Yeah.
Like this dude he's an actual genius. Like we've said it before, he's a rocket scientist. Like he's an actual genius person. So he has like photographic memory, I'm sure, and just like ability to retain information and learn it like on the drop of a dime. So yeah, I think it's awesome. I love him as a person too. So it's really cool that he's getting a shot. But yeah, this is the question, right? Like, it's a good one. What would we pay for Josh Dobbs? I'm imagining if you're even going to look for him, you're trying to compete and you just lost a quarterback or your quarterback room is kind of weak. What do you do to get Josh Dobbs on your team to try to go win a championship?
If you had him, Corey, would you sell him to me for 2/3?
Like if I'm not competing at all, then I think I 2/3 maybe, 3/3 yes.
See, because 2/3 is kind of where I feel like I'd be comfortable paying. I feel like I start getting uncomfortable going any higher than that. The issue is I haven't really seen many people sell him for that. I mean, I've seen people that want to buy him for 2/3, and I've seen people that want a second for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The second's tough. I could see it. Like I wouldn't get mad at it. If you're just trying to go win and you're trying to acquire QB, running into brick walls and you can't get a deal done, just doing it if the guy's willing, like I see it. But I would be in a position where if I did that, I would be like, I am playoffs absolutely, and I am like championship as certain as I can be. But yeah, no, I'm. It's going to be interesting because he could also, like, he's already blown my socks off. Let's see how much he can really blow us away here because he's looked great. He really has.
It does seem like the rushing floor is kind of keeping him a little bit more afloat. So that is also something to consider. I don't think that that's going to go away by any means, especially being in that offense. So, yeah, that's definitely helping his floor.
Here's another thing, though, just to mention, like he's going to have Justin Jefferson soon.
I mean, at some point.
Yeah, at some point. I know, like it's sounding like it's going to be another couple weeks at least, but theoretically speaking, I don't think they're going to, unless they just really start losing out. And even then, I think they reactivate Justin Jefferson.
NFL wise, is Dobbs a top 26 quarterback?
I think he is. I when you were saying 20, I'm like, is he a top 20 is where I was like really thinking. 24, I would go as bold to say, I think.
Yeah, Mike, I see you.
24?
You're doing the exact same thing that I was doing. I was like, how many quarterbacks in the NFL would I take him over?
So let's go through the 32 teams real quick. This will be fun.
Yeah, really fast.
No, I think we can hit 8 pretty quickly. The Giants, dead.
Yeah.
So you're taking him over Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
he's dead. With
right
no
now.
ACL. Yeah.
Yeah, he's dead right now.
Well, and we're talking about fantasy football.
Either one.
Right?
He's quarterback 10 right now.
Look,
just
Corey,
want to make
I was
sure.
talking NFL because if you're telling me that Dobbs is going to be the quarterback next year, I mean, that makes him exponentially more valuable.
Yeah. And if you told me that Dobbs was going to be, I don't know, the Patriots quarterback, I'd rather have him than Mac Jones. So that's 2. You told me he was going to be the Jets quarterback. That's Zach Wilson.
Yep.
That's 3.
Absolutely. Yep.
But you're going to make the case that Rodgers is really the quarterback for the Jets.
Fair. I'm going to count Zach Wilson for now. Caleb, we'll get to your question in a second. I'd rather have Josh Dobbs than Kenny Pickett. Just said that out loud.
Ooh.
Wow, Mike.
Yep.
I mean, I agree with you, but wow.
That's where I'm at in my life.
Yeah, okay.
I'd rather have him than Jordan Love.
No, sorry.
Have you watched Jordan Love play in a month?
Yes,
This
I
looking
have.
really bad.
I have.
He looks like Kenny Pickett.
Hey,
Jordan Love is like that SUV that isn't supposed to tow things, but you
put a boat on it.
You put a boat on it, and you just like see what it can do, and it's just like slowly creeping along.
Yeah.
But it's still moving forward. It's not like completely burned out.
Yeah.
Can I give a nasty one that you guys might hate?
Hit it.
Bryce Young?
Oh, easily.
No.
Right now? Are we saying right now or for their whole career?
Right now.
If I need to win a game tomorrow and you lined up all the quarterbacks, Bryce Young might be 32nd.
Okay. Maybe we're losing track of the reason I asked this question. The reason I asked this question is there a chance
he has a job next year?
That he has a starting job next year?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I wouldn't
100%
say
Corey?
100. There's 100% a chance, and that
There's
chance
100%.
is less
That's
than
what I mean.
100%.
No, that's what I mean. It's 100%. He has a chance.
Yeah.
Your question was, does he have a chance? Right? Yeah, he has a
Sure.
chance. 100%.
Sure.
I say the chances in
Fine.
the
You
high.
want me to rephrase it? Will he have a starting NFL job next
I
year?
think the chances in the high 60s.
It just
Like
depends on if they win. And
Well,
Eight,
That's good, Mike, because I was thinking in the high
69%.
right above a coin flip.
yeah.
yeah, I think that's right. 60% is what I would say.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's going to be hungry teams out there. I mean, I don't know if you've looked at the landscape right now.
Oh, yeah.
QB landscape is looking dire.
Yeah. Speaking of hungry teams, let's talk about running back hungry teams. And then we'll get into some rebuilding tips, some sell highs. ETN or Gibbs in a second, and how are we changing our perspective on the running back landscape moving forward? Evan?
Yeah.
Which side in the trade?
I don't think I care whether it's a win now team or a rebuilding team. I am taking Gibbs in a second because I think I can turn that second along with my second into a running back like Kamara to be able to help me.
Yeah.
I think 2 seconds gets you Kamara right now in the landscape that we're in.
We go send some offers.
If you tell me that ETN and a second can get me Gibbs and Kamara, I'll gladly take that.
I have seen 2 Kamara trades in my leagues just this last week. Both were for competing firsts to acquire Kamara.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. I think if I'm a competing team, you're right. When you add the draft capital and the idea of being able to flip that into another player, like Gibbs' ceiling until Montgomery comes back is the same as ETN's. But once Monty gets back here in the playoffs, then you got this whole nightmare.
I don't know. I don't know
What
if
about Rashad White? If I told you that second was Rashad White, I know you like Rashad White, Mike.
You mean
Gibbs and White,
top 10 running back?
Gibbs and White or ETN?
Yeah, I guess it's Gibbs and White or Gibson's. I mean, it's gross, but like Madison, like
Mixon. Can you get Mixon for a second right now?
Maybe I sold him for 25 first before the season started.
Nice.
Okay.
Like, just. Oh man, yeah. I think what Caleb's trying to lead us to, and I think he wanted us to say ETN because ETN's a top 3 fantasy running back right now.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll go ahead and say ETN.
But I mean, why would you take ETN?
I think he's still in that like age range that you're going to have him on your team for multiple years. They've made him the focal point of the offense. Trevor Lawrence doesn't look like he is going to be good for fantasy, and thereby the receiving options are not going to be very good for fantasy week to week. And it's going to be ETN until the wheels fall off, man. And maybe the argument is that you think the wheels may fall off. And I mean, they might, but I think with what ETN is producing, when Monty comes back, Monty has already shown that he is going to be the guy that takes most of the carries. And maybe Gibbs gets more involved in the passing game, but ETN is going to be more consistently producing those top tier running back 1 numbers week to week.
Yeah. I think that I would go Gibbs. I mean, I already said I would do Gibbs in a second because the second could be something, but here, Caleb has some great notes on this that I'm just going to read verbatim. Getting Gibbs, by the way, I think the idea of having a younger running back for 3 years can sometimes, mess up. But, I mean, 3 years is a lifetime for a running back. Look at Najee Harris last offseason, his value compared to right now. For some reason, like that 25-year-old number pops up in Sleeper, and all of a sudden they're useless. They stink. They're a 1-year rental. Like I was trying to sell Madison earlier today, obviously a different level of talent, but they're like, oh, he's gone next year. It's like, brother, he's 25. He's not 30. So I would go with Gibbs. And I think we're going to talk about age cliffs a little bit later. Like you need to figure out when the age cliff for running back actually is. And it's not at 25, but the Dynasty community treats it like it's 25. So
yeah, and I get both. Like I get going Gibbs also. And I like the perspective of it where you're flipping the second and maybe your second also to go and get another good piece. I just think you find these running backs that are like ETN is one of those like kind of rare situations where he's essentially the workhorse there. Like all threats of like Tank Bigsby or Jermichael Hasty, like that hasn't been a thing. It has been ETN. And I think that you cling to that for dear life while you have it in fantasy football. But okay, yeah, let's get into the meat of things, shall we? Get into some sell high talk and talking about some rebuild. So, I mean, I think we mentioned it last episode, actually, where if you are looking like you're not going to be competing this year, you should be selling guys for picks. You should be aggressive with that, and you should be making the decision consciously, like, okay, it's time. I'm not going to make it this year. Let's start selling guys and getting picks. But I guess we want to talk about, maybe, do you guys have anyone in mind that you are looking to sell high on? And just what do you look for when you are trying to rebuild in terms of, I guess, how do you guys not panic sell and just take what you can get? Like, because it's really attractive sometimes to sell these guys that are in the age range where you're like, well, in 2 years, I'm going to be competitive, so I can't keep this guy on my roster. But you get these lowball offers sometimes and you're like, well, am I really going to sell Aaron Rodgers for like a third? So just give me, I guess, both of you, a couple guys that you're looking at selling high on, and just your thoughts on rebuilding in general.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll lead us off. What I'm looking for when I'm trying to initiate a rebuild is that I'm looking at players that have a lot of name brand value and then a lot of like perceived points. Something that I like to do is like, I'll literally just like scroll through Keep Trade Cut. It's just a tool. Please, if you ever send me a screenshot of a trade calculator in there, I will fight you. But it gives you a gauge because it's crowdsourced and it's a good idea. Like Travis Kelce is the 35th most valuable player on there. He's 100 years old. If you're rebuilding and like, you need to seriously look at your roster. Like, are you competing this year? Are you competing next year? And if you're not doing that, like, Travis Kelce is kind of a sell high. Like I've been saying this for a while. To me, Devontae Adams was a sell high, because when you look at those players that are getting older, they have one bad season, their fantasy value tanks. So you're not panic selling, but you are trying to capitalize like, oh, this is the like crown jewel to your championship. You take Devontae Adams, give me your first. It's clearly going to be late. It's not a big deal. You send enough of those earlier in the season when it's, oh, I'm a lock to make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden they have a bunch of injuries, and now you're looking at a 104, 105. So getting in early, which we're doing this in November, so like a little late now, but yeah. getting in early.
Hey, no, I mean, it's just really early for next season.
Yeah. And just identifying the players that aren't going to help you and just get out for like true value until they like I sold Dalvin Cook last year for a 1 and a 2. You getting that right now?
That's a pretty good deal, Mike.
Looks great in retrospect. At the time, like he was kind of going off and like living his life. Now he's useless. Like you can send a 2029 $1 a fab and you can get Dalvin Cook.
Oh, I didn't yearly fab. I didn't realize you could send that.
Yeah, future
okay.
fab.
Nice.
But those are a couple of names come to mind. I'll talk more later, but I want to give Evan a turn.
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to start with my strategy, or my typical strategy, when I'm taking a team and saying, it's not my year. Usually I evaluate my team on the first 4 weeks. I go through after the first 4 weeks, I look at it, I try and have an honest conversation with myself, figure out where I feel like the team's at, where is it heading? Am I looking at a bunch of youth? Am I looking at a bunch of draft picks? Have I already moved productive players? And I try and make that decision as early as I can. So week 4, and then I do it every 2 weeks after it. Yeah, you can make the argument that it should be every week, but I go with 2 just because I have a decent amount of teams, and it makes it a little hard to be able to put enough effort into every single one to look at every single week and adjust the trade value of what you want for them. I know we've mentioned it multiple times on the show before, And if you're in any of the RPG leagues, you've seen me do it. I love changing the nicknames of players in Sleeper to what I'm looking for them. It gives the entire league a notification. It lets everybody know. You don't have to send out offers. You're saying, hey, this is my price. And if you want to send an offer, make it at least close to that. If it's not close to it, then you're already in the know of, oh, okay, I'm going to send this offer. And if that's the case, just send me a DM and say, hey, I'm interested in this person. I don't think I can pay a 25-second no, like you're asking. What can we get done here? Or do you think there's a deal here? Like, I'm one of those people that I'm very willing to engage with anybody in the league, but I'm definitely looking to get off running backs first. That seems to be pretty consensus at this point. As an example, in one of my more expensive leagues that I'm in, I jumped off of Kenneth Walker for a playoff first and a playoff second. I jumped off of Saquon for a playoff first and a playoff second. And I jumped off of DeAndre Swift for a 25 first and 25 second. So I'm converting this running back capital that I had now into flexible draft capital, because the way that I'm looking at players, and as soon as I know that I'm rebuilding, I'm looking at players saying, what is this player going to be worth in the offseason? Do I think that they're going to matriculate value, or do I think they're going to decline in value throughout the year? And when I look at draft picks are flexible assets that people can look at, and people can tell themselves a story about it. It's much easier to tell yourself a story about, oh, okay, this is probably going to be the 108. This is going to be the 207. Oh, okay, these people are usually available in that range, versus telling yourself a story about a certain older player that you need to be able to sell yourself on. Oh, he's a production guy. I know he's going to be a declining asset. I'm not looking for those declining assets. I'm looking for guys that are going to be able to be more valuable in the offseason and give me more flexibility, which having a treasure trove of draft picks, which Corey, you've seen me do in a couple leagues, just real quick, bringing up the Rogues and the Goblin leagues. I mean, I think I have 5 and 7 first round picks this year, like 5 or 6 second round picks. Like, I was just getting as flexible as I could to be able to move those picks around, because if you're a rebuilding team and you have picks, you don't really need to trade players for players. You can trade picks to go get players. So say there's somebody that really decides that, oh, later in the year, week 9, week 10, near as the trade deadline comes about, then, oh, I need to be a rebuilding team. Well, say they have a CD Lamb and I really want a CD Lamb. Okay, well, now I'm in a position to be able to give up a first, 2 seconds and make a reasonable offer that says, hey, you can start your rebuild process, but I want CD Lamb here. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, nice. I mean, you guys, that was a great summary of just kind of how you should be thinking about this thing. I also just wanted to shout out, I think we've said it before, but Evan, that method of changing the nicknames is like a goated method that works really, really well. Gets the conversation going, gets started without having to do much else than just tell everyone what you're looking for those pieces. So yeah, I mean, do we want to go into next, how do you select beyond just these guys are old? What are you trying to sell besides just, I guess you said running back first, generally speaking. But I guess, how do you decide between a running back that you want to keep into your season like next year and one that you want to trade for capital now?
Yeah. So Evan, unless you want to hop on it, I wanted to run through the specific age cliff and then also run through how you could identify like when to get out on a player.
Yeah, just real quick here.
Yeah.
The way that I'm looking at running back right now is when I know that I have a team that is ready to compete, that's when I'm starting to do it. And I have no issues continuously buying. Give me the James Conner. Obviously, he's hurt right now. Give me the Alvin Kamara. Like, I'll go and pay the little bit of premium that I have to for an asset that's going to be producing for me at that time when I'm ready for running backs. Until then, not having running backs is going to help to, one, keep my points down, because I'm throwing out guys like, I can't even.
Kyron Williams.
Sure. Kyron Williams. And you've seen what he's done this year. Well, if you had Kyron Williams and all of a sudden now I flipped him for 2/3, great. That's a profit. That's somebody that I invested basically nothing into. Yeah.
Cool.
So
I'm going to hit on age cliff real quick. That's kind of what I look at for like the very basic, is this guy going to be useful for me? I know we said like other than are they old? So for each position, this is from Ian Harditz. I love what he does. He broke down the percent of top 12 fantasy producers by their age over the last 10 years. So this is a PPR. In quarterback, it's all over the place. I mean, Tom Brady exists, Aaron Rodgers exists. Like there's no, until they retire, they are capable of being top 12. Running back, disgusting. 21, 4%. And then there's this sweet spot from 22 to 28 where it's all 10% or higher. 28, they die. They just collapse. It's Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler. That's it. That's the end of it. So unless you have one of those supreme outliers, like don't bet on it. I mean, Mostert's doing it this year, but that's also like a weird outlier season. So if I see a running back that's 27, that's 28, like I'm going to send them away for a couple of seconds, couple of thirds, like take dart throws in the later rounds so that I can find myself a Kyron Williams. So I can find myself like who is another late round guy that worked this year. It was a rough running back year for rookies other than A-Chain.
Yeah, it really was, honestly.
Last year, Pacheco, like.
Yeah, there you go. I literally couldn't I mean, Tajay Spears has had points.
Yeah, he's a useful RB5.
Yeah, for sure.
Wide
if
receiver,
you need that guaranteed 5 points.
Yeah. Wide receiver, they'd come on a little slow, and then from 25 until they're 30, hello, Ash, like they're perfect. And then 30, age cliff, hits like a truck. Unless you're one of those, again, premium players. This is a big argument Evan and I had in the offseason about how Devontae Adams was going to age. See how it's going to work. Tight end, all over the place. To be a top 12 tight end is a very low bar. So unless you have one of those premium guys, I don't care. Travis Kelce's this unique thing. Like if you are truly only a year away, like maybe you hold on to him. But if you have Travis Kelce, you're probably competing by accident anyway. So
the Travis Kelce is the most difficult asset, I feel like, in fantasy football, because he is ultra productive and older than he like should be with producing this much. It's a complete outlier. And like, I have been in several dynasty. I haven't sold a lot of Travis Kelce, but the ones I have were like early on when I was like, oh, he's 32 and he's the best, and I'm going to sell him for a first and like laugh myself to the bank. And then next year I'm like, oh no, he's still doing it. And then the year after, why? No, why?
I'm going to sell him for a first, and then I'm going to go get Evan Ingram.
Like just devastating.
I
also want to just quickly, before you get back to your thing, I want to mention, because you mentioned the RB drop off of 28. And do you think that we are going to see an additional outlier as Christian McCaffrey becomes 28 next season?
Yes. I think if he and Kamara remain employed, they will probably be top 12 in PPR just because of the absolute monsters they are in the passing game. Yeah. And because of how disgusting the running back position has become. Like top 12 doesn't mean what it used to. Like you used to have LaDainian Tomlinsons and Marshall Faulk running around, and now it's, if you have 55% of a snap share, you're a workhorse.
Right. Yeah.
You play a little more than half the snaps. You're like, man, he's involved. He's out of there sometimes.
Remember how mystifying it was that Kyron Williams was like the only guy getting like 99% of the RB stats?
And then he got hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think McCaffrey.
That's
Kamara,
the tale, right? As old as time.
I'm going to ride Derrick Henry until the wheels fall off. He's the Travis Kelce of running backs.
Yeah. He is a man for sure. Okay.
A strategy I wanted to hit on, and like kind of why I brought this up.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, they're familiar with these age cliffs. They understand what's going on, and like people are getting smarter and smarter. There's people that listen to our podcast and we're not even that good. So
wait, what?
People are more involved. I know.
I didn't know people listen to this.
There's 5 eyeballs up there. Hello, eyeballs.
Oh man. One of them might be my wife.
Yeah. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
So when you look at this age cliff, what I like to do, and this is something that I actually did recently in one of my friends' Dynasty leagues is you sell a player in a similar tier or that you think will enter that tier for another player and a draft pick on top. Like a draft pick is, like Evan was saying, a flexible asset. If you buy a 25 second, that's never going to go down in value. If you buy Rashad Bateman, he's dust. So when you can move from a player to a similar player in the same tier plus a pick, it's creating like Dynasty Dad, I want to say is his name, like talks about insulated trades, and I'm 100% stealing that from him. Like if you can insulate value by buying draft picks on top of players, now you're just building value and value and value. It's like the marshmallow experiment that I love to bring up. Like they took kids, they sat them down and they said, hey, do you want one marshmallow now, or I'm going to leave for 5 minutes and I'll give you 2 marshmallows. Those draft picks are 2 marshmallows. So just wait a little bit, get the 2 marshmallows.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough challenge. I really like marshmallows.
They're so good.
They're really good.
And even somebody else hit us with a question earlier talking about like balancing having enough picks and not having enough players for the next year. Like you don't have to make all of your draft picks. There's this like life cycle in Dynasty. I feel like I'm talking a lot. But I mean, right now everybody's in like redraft season. Everybody's trying to push to the championship, and I'm going to make it. I'm going to be the best there ever was. And they're just throwing firsts and seconds to the wind. Like, oh, have a third, have a fourth, have like, take all of my picks. And then April 1st hits. And like clockwork, everyone comes texting and they're like, hey, let me get the 107.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'll hold it. Or you can be like, sure, I'll give you the 107. Give me Brandon Ayuk. And they're like, yeah, that's a great deal. Here you go.
Yeah.
And building off of what you were saying, Mike, honestly, if in those leagues that I have anywhere from 5 to 7 first round picks, I don't want to make all of those picks. I want to be able to use those picks to be able to control the draft board. So that is my goal in those leagues, is to be able to have those picks to where I can dictate, oh, like I'm willing to trade this draft pick to this team, and I can extract more value by having them trade back. And I know based off of their team, they're probably going to go this direction with the pick. So now I got more value for a pick, and I was still able to hopefully be able to get the player that I wanted with that pick.
Yeah.
So you get to manipulate the board, which is what I really appreciate.
Way to think about it. That is a really good way to think about it. Controlling the draft board like that. I mean, getting yourself set up in a specific situation too, where you can like, take the, 7, 8, 9 by trading back some of your earlier ones just to like get every single like wide receiver in the first round. Just like a move like that is just so like devastating, and also creates this like market at the same time. And I also want to go back to, I think, I can't remember which one of you said it. I think it was Mike, but the insulated trades. I wanted to go back to that and just, can you like explain that a little more, like what that exactly means?
Yeah. So the idea of it is that a draft pick is never going to lose value until the pick is made. It's like a car. Once you drive it off the lot, it's gone. So if you can take a player, I'll give a very specific instance. Everyone loved Josh Downs pre-draft. I wasn't that sold on him. I finally came around on him after watching a little more tape and like seeing what he could do in the NFL. Like I traded for like DJ Moore away for Josh Downs plus what he thought was going to be a playoff first. Did that early enough in the season. Now that first, he's on the playoff bubble. So he's also coming back to me and being like, here's my second, here's my third, help me make a push. Like now I have a player that I would say is in a similar tier, maybe a little lower, plus a whole first on top. If you can move a running back, we're talking about like in the offseason when everybody's hot and bothered about Alexander Madison. If you could have moved Madison for like a Tyjae Spears in a second, because you know you're not ready this year, and Tyjae is a good play for 2024 if Henry leaves. Now you have another swing, more value that's only going to accrue, plus a player. that you can continue to like move down tiers until you went from like a CD Lamb level player. And like, maybe that has gone all the way down, but now you have 8 first round picks because you've just like stepped down the ladder.
Yeah. So. Okay. No, that's very good. Very, very smart way to look at things. I do just want to ask before we, I don't know, move into this last 5-minute gap here. I know you guys are obviously, both of you are quite good at this acquiring draft picks game, it seems like. And I just want to know, what's your league with the most amount of first round draft picks? How many do you got?
Ooh. I think Evan definitely has me beat right now. But I have one where over the next 2 years, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 firsts. And most of those are like early or like playoff bubble teams. But I had one that it was actually a great example of a rebuild and turning it around, where I accrued, I think, like 9 2024 firsts and like 5 2023 firsts. And then I traded all of those players for Lamar Jackson and AJ Brown and all of these things like in the offseason. I'm super competitive now, the playoff team, because I just bought a bunch of first round picks and then flipped them for good players.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Evan? Do you have that beat?
Yeah.
I think you already said you had 8 in one league, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have 8 in the one RPG league, and then I have another one that is a risk reward that I was looking at. It is a higher buy-in league, so teams were trying to compete now, which I just realized that right off the rip and just said, all right, like I'm just gonna see what I can do here and hopefully be able to accumulate enough assets, enough capital to be able to use that to be able to make a play for that second year and then be that team for the third. So a little bit of investment required for that. But I happen to have 13 firsts over the next 2 years.
Jeez, man.
So
that's a lot. That's a lot of firsts.
And now keep in mind, my team is pretty garbage. Like I have one player in Anthony Richardson that's worth anything on it. And it's a start 12. So,
but hey, I mean, that's a decent building block for next year, buddy.
Right. And like I said, you know, I tried to make a move in that league for Kyler. I was trying to trade first in 25 to be able to go get Kyler. I was trying to look at those assets that were injured. I tried to make a play for Justin Jefferson as a guy who was injured that is a star talent, and having those first gave me the flexibility to at least make an offer. I mean, heck, I sent a guy last week in that league an offer of 4 that are currently playoff first for Justin Jefferson. It's a lot of capital.
Yeah, a strong offer.
It would still leave me with 9 first-round picks, and now I have Anthony Richardson and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, did he take it?
No, he did not.
How do you decline that? I guess I get it, but like, man,
it's tough. But those are the kind of things that I like, the flexibility that allows me to be able to do that. If I want to go buy old crusty guys, I can do that to try and push in once I get to that point. If I want to be able to go after a younger premium asset and consolidate the picks into premium players, I can do that, or at least attempt to do that.
Mike, would you take 4 first for Justin Jefferson?
4 playoff first, just to be understanding here, or playoff as of last week.
Are they all in 2024?
Yep.
I think I would take that.
I think I take that if it's like 9 through 12, even. Like, that's just so much capital.
I mean, I just traded Justin Jefferson for Justin Herbert, so.
Ooh, I like that for you.
Look, I've seen Jefferson go for Cup, a first and a second. Which, what are you losing there? Cup is still producing this year.
That's an insulated trade.
Exactly. You're losing the age, but you're making up for it in being able to have that first and second.
Yeah. That's how I've built a lot of my super teams. Is you start with a JJ or a Chase, and then I move like Chase for CD Lamb and a late first, and then I move CD Lamb for Metcalf and a late first, and then you take those 2 firsts, and then you go buy Chase again, and now you have the player you started with and a free DK Metcalf.
Wait,
Although,
that's
to be fair, you're
It's a
not-
real thing I've done in a bunch of leagues.
that feels like a
you're not
Game
getting-
Shark.
You're not getting Chase for 2 firsts right now, 2 playoffs,
Well,
but
yes, but like
understand the
Yeah.
process.
those
Yeah.
two in like a spike week running back or something.
Sure.
Right. Okay. That seems like cheating, but I'll
Uh,
allow it.
If you're playing competitor circle and you listen to this, I'm so sorry.
All right, guys. Well, that was pretty good talk. Do we have any closing thoughts here on rebuilding in general before we close it out?
Be honest with yourself. Don't
Yeah.
try and let the hopium just invade your mind, because hopium is the #1 destroyer of fantasy teams.
100%. Know where you're at, know your league mates, build good relationships. If you're constantly the slime ball sending out low balls and then telling guys that they're stupid for not accepting, they just won't read your trade offers anymore. So, not ideal. But also, you need to have the energy to rebuild. And the best way to get energy is through Dubby, the jitterless energy drink.
He did it.
Use code
did it.
FFRPG at checkout. A little bit comes back to the show. We'll get Evan a better camera. We need to see his face a little better. He's so cute.
I just want to get him one of those like circular light things that all the streamers
Yes.
have that like really just. I might get one of those for me. I have.
We
a
should
light
get those in
that-
4K cameras.
I
That we
did.
can-
I did find out over the weekend though that is apparently called key lighting.
Oh, that makes sense.
Good to know.
Key lighting.
Yeah.
I like it.
Uncle Steve, if you're listening, use code FFRPG at checkout.
There'll be a link in the episode description below, guys. That'll get the discount code added to your cart right away. And appreciate everyone for listening to another episode of this really, really dumb fantasy football podcast that we do.
That'll be fun.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you next time. And goodbye.
Bye.